This video is about fad diets, and there are a lot of eating disorder adjacent topics that are covered and talked about in this video. So just a warning, fellas and fellettes, y'all can click off. I won't care. It'll be all right. I try to be funny and lighthearted, but some of this shit is pretty dark, so just a warning. Diets and food are some of the most polarizing topics today as obesity continues to rise. I myself have been on a new diet. I call it the Chili's diet. It's where I eat chilies 3 times a day, guys. It's got me firing on all 8 cylinders. Got my pituitary gland just spewing hormones throughout my whole body, my endocrine system. There are lots of different diets around the world, and there have been for a very long time. Today we're talking about the history and insanity that is fad dieting, okay? Humanity has been trying different diets since the beginning, quite literally day one. And some of those diets have been absolutely atrocious, and some others have been beneficial. As time goes on, people look back into history and try to revive old diets because they think because something's old, it means it's potentially good. It's like this illogical, or I guess a logical fallacy, the appeal to nature. You know, if we grew up doing it, well, I didn't have medicine 2 million years ago, so like, why do I need it now? Or whatever. To be honest, I don't. But some diets are good though, like the paleo diet. It's all right. People love trying strange shit though, that's my point, and the hopes that it might make a difference on them. Early human diets long ago were pretty good, to be honest. They were clean. Humanity was living in hunter-gathering societies, and we had incredibly diverse diets. We ate honey, eggs, wild game, plants, tubers, fish, berries, you name it, we's chomping on it, okay? Like, a lot, too. People used to go around and gather stuff and whatnot. They would eat, and I don't fucking know. I'm guessing that probably happened. In these old hunter-gatherer societies, we would travel around and, you know, exhaust one area for resources, go find another and eat different shit there, different shit here. We'd go eat Malabar spinach and then sweet taters. Yams. After thousands and thousands and thousands of years of doing that, humanity eventually settled down into villages, which made it difficult to hunt and gather while also allowing for an area to replenish. If you're not a nomadic society, you're going to be in one area pretty much. This decision led to the development of agriculture. Ever heard of it, guys? A little thing called agriculture? Around 10,000 BC, humans settled a little place called Mesopotamia, which is now known as modern-day Iraq. Okay, guys, that's where they developed agriculture. Mesopotamia also, that's where all them demons come from. You ever read about a demon? Probably a Mesopotamian demon. Okay. This development of agriculture, specifically in this area, not only allowed for the specialization of tasks and the development of new society and new culture, it also led to a new diet that caused major health issues. The first thing to be domesticated to incorporate into the human diet was cereal grains, such as barley and einkorn. It's a primitive form of wheat, gluten-free wheat. Einkorn bread is good. It's high in protein and it makes my belly feel good. All this led to a major influx of carbohydrates into our diet and a lack of fiber, protein, and other micronutrients, and that led to numerous health problems. The main one being tooth decay. As our diets changed, the grains introduced a lot more natural sugars, leading to tooth decay and diseases like diabetes, periodontal disease, and many more metabolic disorders. Additionally, on top of that, people have just kind of gotten a little fatter than they were, and children have grown slower due to a lack of actual nutrients. You know, just because you're eating something doesn't mean it has any value whatsoever. Like, you could eat a whole bag full of Sour Boys, for example, the candy that I make, and it would do nothing for you unless you just had a really hard workout. It would replenish your glycogen stores. But like, if you're just sitting there playing Anastasia and Arma for 17 hours and you know you haven't moved all day, the last thing you should be eating is candy. Eat it because it has nothing in it. It's just candy. It's just sugar. Don't eat that unless you need that. Sugar is important, but like only when you utilize it properly. It's also believed around this time that people became sort of shorter when we switched away from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. We got weak and liberal and soft or whatever. I don't know. I thought that'd be funny. Other common diseases that started blossoming at this time included rickets and osteoporosis, lack of calcium, weak bones. There's not that much calcium in fucking bread. Then comes the domestication of animals, and more problems would arise. Animals were first domesticated around 11,000 BC, but there were little to no issues because people were constantly moving around, allowing for the filth that the animals caused to be left behind. You know, fucking pig slop and just shit and stuff. Shit, they shit everywhere. That's all they fucking do is just shit. When society started to develop in a way that animals would be incorporated into a like local community and they would have their pens in living with the people, that's where this started to become a problem and the poo-poo started getting on the feet. And no proper waste management for animals and humans, that means there's a lot of poo-poo everywhere. It's all over the place. It's on the walls. How did it get on the fucking walls? And this draws in disease, bugs, spreads disease, everything much faster. Classic folly of man, you know? Diseases like smallpox and measles ran rampant in early human populations. Diseases like salmonella also adapted to infect early humans and their villages that led to a lot of chaos and projectile vomiting and projectile shitting, to be honest. You ever projectile shit? I've never done that, I don't think, but sometimes, yeah, it's not like a shotgun blast, like a wet shit. I mean like you ever shot a log out, like a fucking Sabo round, 20 millimeter, just fucking speed of sound. Armor piercing incendiary. Armor piercing incendiary? Yeah. APTI. Armor piercing tracing incendiary. Yeah, that's it. Poop, though. Not weapon. Gun. You know. Both the domestication of plants and animals were necessary for humanity to evolve and continue to develop and create things like villages and towns and actual society. What are you doing over there? Banging a drum? Where'd you get that drum at? Why are you banging that? What the fuck? So as much as this stuff was awesome, there were definitely some downsides, some pretty obvious downsides. And resulting from all this, there are some of the earliest examples of diets and diet changes that in some respects didn't work out and were incredibly harmful. And in others, they kind of worked out, but it really only got crazier from that point on. Like from the beginning, 10,000 BC, when we invented agriculture, when my homies back in Mesopotamia invented agriculture, that's when this started. Do you believe that? That's when this started. As time went on, people and societies adjusted to the struggles of agriculture and they began to thrive. This allowed them to add a variation and experimentation to their different diets, which caused many to believe that certain combinations of food could produce certain benefits, like making your pee-pee work better if you eat oysters. The earliest recorded diet can be found on the Ebers Papyrus, a piece of Egyptian medical record dated from 1550 BC, which is so long ago. And it was a diet of wheat germ and okra that was intended to cure diabetes, and in all honesty, probably had very little success in doing so. I don't think okra, a foul, disgusting beast of a vegetable. Oh, I don't like okra. It's slimy. Why is it slimy, dude? It's almost okay when you fry it. It tastes good, but it's like, I don't like it on the inside. I just don't like it. It's yucky. Post-Egyptoids, the Greeks also experimented with their diets a lot in 500, 400 BC, somewhere around there. Greek athletes and warriors would consume deer liver and lion's hearts, believing they would gain speed, strength, and bravery. Wow. Also so stupid. Famous Greek physician Hippocrates of Kos, 460 to 370 BC, wrote a book called Corpus Hippocraticum. They loved writing wisdom books and starting them with corpus. It makes sense because corpus is a very important word. The Corpus Hippocraticum contained multiple different diets developed by Hippocrates. You've probably heard of Hippocrates. You probably didn't know that he had a diet book. He was the first fitness influencer. Are you shitting me? He believed that health was directly tied to nutrition and the environment in which you lived, which is so based and so red-pilled. Back in a time when people were really dumb and they thought the earth was flat. Oh wait, people still think that. Crap. In his book, he wrote things such as having obese people only ever eat dry food, never miss breakfast, always run or walk after eating, avoid sex, and also controversial, which is to purposely induce vomiting after food, so you don't absorb it, obviously, which is bad. That's a huge thing now. That's a massive problem for a lot of people. The Greeks, though, actually induced vomiting a lot and believed it to be very healthy. They were also huge believers in the importance of healthy foods. One Greek philosopher named Galen, 157 to 216 CE, wrote in his book titled On the Power of Food that he believed that good doctors are also good cooks. And you can see that food experimentation is a part of human nature, because that guy was way ahead of his time. That's true. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. You mean this guy? This guy is like the fucking Greg Doucette of ancient Greece. The Corpus Hermeticum. How does he sound? I haven't heard him in a while. Greg Doucette.
He's more like this. He's more up here. He's not
What's that guy? He died.
clit. As we have evolved and grown more technologically advanced and culturally complicated, our diets have changed dramatically. Gilbert Gottfried.
That's his name, Gilbert Gottfried. Sorry about that. I'll go back to speaking normally. Due to this experimentation, humans have learned the hard way that not everything is meant to be eaten or has magic, mystical properties that will heal you and make your penis work again. Because that's a lot of this stuff, is figuring out how to make your penis work. A lot of this is about that, you know? People love trying to figure that shit out. How about you just pull on it? That's what I do. Tug on that thing. Luckily, since the Middle Ages, we've grown a lot as a society. I'm not a huge fan of the Middle Ages. I like reading it, but I think about living then, and it just makes me feel like I don't want to do that. I would like to live in the time of the ancient Greeks, I think. You know, I wouldn't like to live my whole life there. I mean, like, I get it pretty much made here. You know, it seems cool, but the Middle Ages, count me out. Even as a fucking king, I don't want to be a king. I wouldn't want to live in there. It sounds terrible. People suck. People are fucking terrible. How many years war? The what? The fuck? Luckily, we've grown a lot, changed a lot as a society, and time is always the best healer. Wrong, guys. Wrong. Time is not always the best healer. That's wrong. We're a species of learning beings, and new things must be tried in order to push us into different ages and evolve us and develop us as humans. And this includes trying some new experimental types of medicines. Take Mumia, for example. Mumia was found on Persian mountainsides. It was a semi-solid form of petroleum and was used for everything from headaches to wounds. It was quite literally a combination between Vaseline and Tylenol. This definition of Mumia would later change to Mumia because it would be known for something much darker: human remains. These human remains were powdered remains from mummified human bodies, a process known by the ancient Egyptians as mummification. So, like King Tut. They would raid these tombs and not only take pieces of human remains, but loot artifacts that they found. And they would sell these remedies to merchants for them to later sell as cure-all potions and more. However, there's not an unlimited amount of tombs, so eventually you will definitely run out of just dead people to scrape liquid from, to rub on people. So eventually you'd run out of Mumia, so a process of embalming a recently killed person, such as a criminal, for example, who would then be covered in oils and resin to speed up the mummification process, would be much quicker to sell and easier to maintain your stocks of and supplies of. The preparation process included drying the bodies, just as the Egyptians had done before, and embalming them with resins and oils and other substances to preserve the body. Then after that, the body is prepared, left to dry and preserve, eventually to be ground into a fine powder for your medical needs. Thank God for Mumia, fellas. I'm so glad we get Persian body dust to rub on us to heal us. That was actually made by rapscallions and bastards by killing criminals and wasn't actually gathered from Persia, probably beyond just the first few times. So why exactly were people doing this, fellers? Well, a lot of things back then were met with curiosity, and there was a seemingly random pursuit of knowledge to understand the unknown and everything after the Dark Ages, and you'd find a tomb of ancient artifacts and symbols you've never seen in your life, and then a body wrapped in linens, and it's in paper as well, and it's laying there in a golden sarcophagus, and you're telling me you're not gonna wanna dig inside of it, eat a little bit of it, take a little bite to see if it heals you, and then say that it does, and then mass produce it and sell it to people like a snake oil? That's awesome. You can't lie. So that's a interesting fad diet, you know, eating people. But exotic substances in general were not new in European culture after the medieval Renaissance time period. The mummies themselves were, in a sense, mysterious and rare, and that influenced curiosities and made people eventually want to try everything and go as far as actually eating parts of them. I guess some people probably just didn't know, though, and then it became like this big meme. It was a mimetic virus. To be fair, if I was an idiot serf in the medieval ages and I went to Persia and then Egypt, I don't really know exactly where this shit came from. It says it's from Persia, but if I went and found a tomb of a dead person, a mummy, and I thought he had ancient powers and he's surrounded by gold and riches and all this stuff, I'd be like, oh my God, dude. I'm really hungry. You know what? I'm gonna eat this guy. He's probably fucking got powers and shit. I would probably do that. And you'd be lying if you'd say you wouldn't do that. You'd be lying if you said that. And it seemed like that is exactly what happened. You would see me do it and then you would do it. It was a monkey see, monkey do type thing. You see, it started off with just one person believing the embalming process had a cure-all substance, but it later moved towards people just eating an entire corpse, which is pretty baller. If I had the migraines I have now back in the 14th century, and I heard the little corpse jelly might heal me up real good, a little jelly cake, little corpse jelly, little Jaffa cake, little corpse Jaffa, you bet I'd be snacking on that shit. I would say that in the Middle Ages, we had our first bad fad diet, and that is the Mumia diet, the eating of corpses.
Oh no, it's got Scooby!
It started off as a rare substance found on Persian mountaintops that merchants could sell to, rich people. It's this rare, exotic thing. It's jelly, it's what is this stuff? This is so cool. And then it eventually evolved into people just mummifying criminals and selling them and labeling it Mumia. People would swarm to buy this delicious medicinal cure.
This belief was rooted in the European tradition of utilizing exotic and rare substances in the pursuit of health and longevity. Most specifically, in this instance, Mumia. Mummy powder.
I guess I can kind of understand the thought process. I got a headache, man, maybe I need to eat brain. I got a penis ache, maybe I need to consume penis. People think that way. Maybe I'm feeling sick, maybe I need to eat blood, so I get more blood inside of me, because people know that blood is like a life force, essentially.
We drank the blood of some people, but the people were on drugs. And now I'm a wizard.
People weren't smart, but they definitely tried to make sense of things. And because these idiots didn't know anything about chemistry or science or they're just a bunch of idiots, savages running around, killing each other and enjoying their fiefdoms and their hairy, stinky. Of course you're gonna eventually eat humans, and not even realize it. And it becomes a crazy diet fad of the Middle Ages. Of course that's gonna happen. This would get worse over time, worse and worse, as it became more and more normal to just be a cannibal and consume parts of humans for dietary reasons. And mummies would just disappear over time. They'd be more and more rare to find. It's because the medieval people ate them all right? That's why there's not that many now. The point is, make sure your mumia comes from a Persian mountaintop and it's jelly, and you're not just eating a beggar's corpse, right? A dried corpse from like 3 weeks ago that's been covered in oils and resins. I'd be pretty mad if I got scammed like that. I've been scammed before. That scam, another level. Today, it seems insane to even try and defend that way of thinking that the people had back then, but the weird fads and diets did not stop there. In fact, this is kind of when they started, in all honesty. This is when this weird hysteria of like consuming things and like, well, I want to eat it. It's kind of where it began, in the way that we still see now. The curiosity never stopped. Never disappeared. The only thing that changed was the improvement of medical practices, guys. And it wasn't that big of an improvement, to be fair, over the next 600, 700, 800 years, 400 years, whatever, to the 1800s. Diets also changed a little bit. They get pretty wild, all right? Pretty wild. As soon as people started to think about the way that they look and their weight, and there was billboards and like models and shit, when things really started to get crazy. 1800s, 1900s, all right, right in that area. Moving into our now more familiar era, pre-modern industrial era, humanity still struggled to perfect the human diet. You think that after everything we've been through and how consumed by this we've been for such a long time, we would just have it down. But that is just simply not true. As industrialization began and commodification of food started, there was a lot of development in terms of perspectives and ideas about just what food was in general, and a lot of insanity began to rise. A lot of propaganda. One feller that was particularly infatuated with experimenting with new foods and diets was this guy named Lord Byron. At the time, Lord Byron was considered to be one of the greatest English poets alive as the Romantic movement was growing. My favorite movement.
Or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express. How pure, how dear their dwelling place.
While this man was writing poetry, he was also making an impact on the world of women's diets. Byron had experimented on himself first, of course, by cycling between starving himself and binge eating. It was said that his most popular diet was mostly only drinking apple cider vinegar and water, but his personal favorite diet was biscuits and soda water. Delicious. Thank you, Lord Byron, for inventing the girl dinner. It's a joke. Through this man's bizarre self-experimentation, he developed a very rigid view on women's diets, Byron believed that women should, and I quote, should never be seen eating or drinking unless it be lobster salad and champagne, the only truly feminine and becoming viands. It doesn't take a genius to see that this view on women's diets was extremely damaging, obviously, and most people said that he was encouraging melancholia and emotional volatility on romantic youth, making girls sicken and waste away. What a asshole. This guy, like, is the father of eating disorders. What an asshole. And he was like an influencer as well. Lord Byron, what an asshole. I want to look at him. Ugh. He's pretty mysterious. I get it. Just kidding. I've never read any Lord Byron. He really was a harmful, toxic fitness health influencer of his time, and he also wrote poetry. He's basically a TikToker, a modern day TikToker. He had a pretty big forehead. In 1825, a French lawyer and politician, Jean Brillat Savarin, came up with a diet that focused on eating little to no carbs, but focused thoroughly on chewing your food to a near liquid state in order to eat less, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that sort of makes sense, you know, low carb diet. Carbs are the enemy, as Fat Bastard says from Austin Powers, gold member at the very end.
You know, carbs are the enemy. You know?
The chewing the food more, that's good. Not necessarily to eat less, but just because the process of digestion begins in your mouth with chewing and saliva. So that's, you know, relatively based and red-pilled, based and chew-pilled. A few years after this feller, the inventor of the graham cracker, Sylvester Graham, aka that graham cracker, was considered the father of modern diets because he invented what was considered the first fad diet, the actual first fad diet in the 1930s. Not what I consider the first fad diet, like eating corpses or reading the corpus made by Hippocrates back in the olden times. Graham saw the health benefits of whole grain foods and preached for people to do a raw food vegetarian diet that was low in salt and fat. He had a pretty sizable disdain for industrialism and modern medicine and believed that the high protein diets of the Industrial Revolution were sinful. He's like the vegan teacher of the Industrial Revolution.
First, you must eat homemade bread made from coarsely ground flour. Industrialized bread is made from very finely ground flour, and it is bad for both the soul and the body. Second, you should maintain a strictly vegetarian, whole foods, plant-based diet. Contrary to popular belief, eating meat will not prevent cholera.
He hated America's cultural love for meat and white bread, but preached the health benefits of flatbreads and graham crackers. And after his diet grew in popularity, Graham would continue to preach his diet and ideas about it. He believed that any urge to eat was a sign of depravity and that gluttony was debilitating and an unhealthy urge. I mean, I guess gluttony, yeah, but wanting to eat food and you're depraved, you sick. Well, I just want a little French fry or something. He also had staunch religious beliefs that would heavily influence his beliefs on diets and foods, and this led to Graham creating the graham cracker.
Graham was passionately against commercially made white flour, which he considered separated from its nutrients. So, he created a bread by using his coarse and unfiltered graham flour with no sugar or additives. And the graham cracker was born.
Just kidding. I don't know what the f led him to creating a graham cracker, but it led to him being heralded as a religious leader, and it even grew him a cult following. His followers were called Grahamites, and they believed that Graham's teachings were in some way divine, which I don't get it, to be honest. This guy looks like he is devoid of any divinity whatsoever. It looks like someone just went on his face. I mean, it seriously looks like he stood too long outside and it was a gusty day. These idiots followed his journal, the Graham Journal of Health and Longevity, and some lived in Grahamite homes. These homes had strict rules and adhered to Sylvester Graham's teachings. Meat, obviously, was completely banned from entering the homes and premises, and people on the inside had to eat his diet and his graham crackers and bread. This guy is a genius. This is amazing. Bro invented graham crackers to feed his Grahamites. He paved the way for vegetarianism. He paved the way for the graham cracker. He paved the way for cults. This guy's a genius. He paved the way for fad diets. Some other weird requirements of the Grahamites were only taking cold baths, sleeping on hard mattresses, and keeping windows open almost year round, which is, I would bet these people were fairly healthy. I mean, I don't know about graham crackers back in the day. They're not that healthy now. I'm sure they're probably healthier back then. This guy's like the Liver King if Liver King was a vegetarian. And yeah, I mean, pretty much the same. It's kind of like the same thing. But maybe he lied less though. Maybe he lied less than the Liver King. I'm not sure. In 1850, Graham would help found the American Vegetarian Society in New York City, and 1 year later, in 1851, he died in his home after performing an opium enema. That's not healthy, I don't think. This guy was off his rocker. Since then, his teachings have essentially ceased to exist and disappeared and changed and evolved into other things. But someone opened a Grahamite restaurant in Massachusetts, and they still serve food based on his preachings, which is kind of cool. Grahamite. The guy who invented the graham cracker started a cult, invented the first fad diet, and also, by the way, did I mention he died from an opium enema and invented the graham cracker in one lifetime? That's crazy. This guy's a genius. The 1800s also saw the advent of diet pills, which are very scary in my opinion. Ozempic actually was invented in 1804. I mean, that's crazy. It's kind of directly responsible for Joaquin Bonaparte taking control of the French and you know, perpetrating the 100 Years' War.
What are you doing? I'm posting false information on the web. Why? It's fun.
Just kidding, that was the Napoleonic Wars, but they started in 1804. And it was not Joaquin, as Joaquin Phoenix played Napoleon. I was trying to do a joke. I was trying to layer in some misinformation just for a little bit of fun. But these pills in the 1800s were insane, okay? Different from the ones nowadays. Ozempic, that's a lie. All that was lies. People believed back in this time that arsenic would help you lose weight. And I'm not sure how much they ingested, but to kill an adult human, it only takes about 140 milligrams. That's not that much. That's a very small, minute amount of arsenic. People were eating it though, guys. A popular diet that also involves a popular pill, I guess, because of the diet, was the diet in which people would purposefully ingest tapeworms to help them lose weight, and then they would take an anti-parasitic pill or antibacterial pill to remove the worms once they were happy with the weight.
No dieting, no depriving, because the tapeworm eats the extra calories. So you can lose weight and feel great. There are some slight minor complications to this diet.
Oftentimes, this diet would work, but some people would face complications, including not being able to get the worms out of their body, and sometimes those the eggs can cross the blood-brain barrier and go into your brain. I actually knew a guy who had that happen to him, and he had migraines for years. Didn't know why. He was like bedridden. And then they tested his brain and they're like, you have worms in your brain. That's not good. That's really bad, actually. But he's fine now. Also, jockeys do this still. Jockeys, racehorse jockeys. I was a farrier for some racehorse barns in Northern Virginia. And jockeys, they do this still. This is a thing. This is a thing that still happens. And that guy that had the worm in his brain may or may not have been a jockey. The Industrial Revolution in this age caused many to rethink food and diets and what they could be and you know, what was possible, really. The sky's the limit for these idiots back in this time. Now, food can be produced quicker and with more automation. We don't need human beings to actually go out and, you know, chop sticks of grass and then take the seeds off it. Now there's the cotton gin and all this other stuff. Going down. Never before did humanity have access to so much food, and this meant that people could eat as much as they wanted to without having to worry, guys. You can just eat as much as you wanted to. Nobody's ever got to be starving ever again if you have a little bit of money. Alongside that, we see massive rise in commodification of diet products and just in general, the commodification of diets. We've got the Grahamites, and beyond that, so many different trends. Some would rise, some would fall, some would stand the test of time. Things would continue to be very, very, very strange well into the 1900s. The 1900s is a time in which things are going to coalesce a little bit for you guys. You're really going to be able to start seeing the similarities between what happened then and what's happening currently right now and is massively popular on the internet. In the 1900s, there was a lot of crazy diets. Have you ever heard of the cabbage soup diet? No, probably not. What about the chew and spit diet, aka the Fletcherism? Ever heard of Kafka? Franz Kafka? This Kafka-esque diet is a diet that a lot of people could potentially find as triggering, so that's why I had the disclaimer in the very beginning. This is like something that some people do. I do it myself, but not because I have body dysmorphia necessarily, but sometimes when I chew my food, I don't feel like swallowing it. I don't really know a reason why or whatever, but the point of it is you get the feeling that you're eating, you're chewing something up and you're tasting it, etc. Your brain is releasing, I don't know, chemicals, feel-good chemicals, but you spit it out. You spit the food out. It's not good. It is consequential. There are bad consequences to quite literally starving yourself. CHSP is what it's called now, not Fletcherism or any 20th century nonsense. And some cool people back in the day actually did follow this diet, for example, or whatever the f this is. For example, Kafka, Franz Kafka, he was in on it, which is really weird. It's more of a disorder. I don't really want to talk about it much more. It's very simple. You just chew up your food and then you just spit it out. And then you starve. It's not good. It's pretty bad. So yeah, that was not a great one from the 1900s. Next, we have cabbage soup, another diet that seems like it comes from when you're low on food in the house and you only have 2 ingredients, and that is cabbage and water. I was almost about to say soup as an ingredient, but that would just be water, I think. You put cabbage into water, you get soup. All right, bud. That's the cabbage soup diet. This diet, once again, pretty much what you think. It's sometimes, though, it also has celery, onions, and bell peppers and other vegetables in it, but it's a healthy soup that involves just eating basic vegetables, and it was a radical weight loss diet meant to lose weight as quickly as possible. And the diet usually lasted around a week. The claim stated that in just 7 days, you could lose around 10 pounds of weight. That is impossible. All right, guys, that's so impossible. I made a new word. It's called impossible. You just can't lose 10 pounds of fat in 7 days. You can lose a lot of water and like glycogen in your muscles, and you can wither away in 7 days, but you can't lose 10 pounds of fat in that shorter period of time. A lot of these fad diets pretty much just get rid of water weight over a couple weeks, and then you think you're losing weight, but you're not actually losing weight. It's because the number doesn't really exactly directly represent your body composition, which is more important. The composition of your body. But also, you can be obese and just muscular as well. It's another thing a lot of people don't know. You can be very unhealthy and muscular. Yeah. It's almost like there's a balance to everything. Weird. That's life. Now, the cabbage diet, I feel like if I ate that shit, which I did eat a lot of cabbage soup growing up, my grandfather loved making cabbage soup. It makes me shit my britches, but I build up gas and I get the nastiest, most rank, cruciferous farts you've ever smelled in your whole life. Farts so rank, burn hairs out of your nose. All right, fucking fill your alveoles up in your lungs, your raviolis in your lungs with hot green gas, make you die. The next diet is called smoking. Have you ever heard of it? It's my personal favorite. That's smoking of cigarettes. Cigarettes in the 1900s basically controlled the world. They did it really, especially so for a short period of time. People were smoking them on planes, trains, in your car, in the office, literally every single where.
You know, if you were to follow a busy doctor as he makes his daily round of calls, you'd find yourself having a mighty busy time keeping up with him. Time out for many men of medicine usually means just long enough to enjoy a cigarette.
And it's funny because Kafka had the chew and swallow or chew and spit. Camus had the cigarette diet. Cigarettes and coffee. It was a bad time to be alive if you were aware of how bad smoking was for you, but luckily nobody was really aware of that back then. And quite frankly, smoking a cigarette was the perfect way to lose weight. Feeling hungry? How about instead you eat a cigarette or smoke a cigarette? And that nicotine addiction will take your mind off your hunger and eating. As long as you keep on puffing away, guys, you won't think about it. Now, this was an actual thing that like doctors talked about, and there were ads on how to maintain your weight and look beautiful because you're smoking cigarettes. And this insane fad still exists today, and the nicotine chemical itself does have an appetite suppression effect, similarly to caffeine. Binds to the nicotine receptors in your brain, which signals satiety, which satisfies your hunger, which is cool. In the era of smoking, it was the perfect way to suppress your appetite and lose some quick pounds, a couple of quick LBs, guys. And everybody's smoking, so it already made sense. Instead, you just smoke more. 500 cigarettes instead of 500. I took my shirt off. It was getting really hot in here. On to the modern day. We all know that social media is bad for us, and we've established that human beings have been doing some wild shit in terms of diets for quite a long time. You got the Grahamites, you got Hippocrates, you got all these geniuses from yonder past, and now we got a bunch of idiots. And we gave them more reach than anyone has ever had in the history of all things, and we've seen some very bizarre trends as a result of this, specifically in the diet world, the food world, all right? Combining health with wealth. One of the trends that we've seen that I'm sure you guys are familiar with is a diet that has risen in popularity as a direct result of social media, which is bad for mental health. We have a study proving that. A relation or whatever, I don't know, relationship, but there's a bad, This diet in particular shifts from the priority of eating for health and looks to eating for wealth. It is a diet that relies on content being made of the diet. you eat a lot, and that's the diet, and part of the diet is making money and publicizing it. It's called mukbangs. Ever heard of them? Mukbang content to me is something that has always been very perplexing. I don't like watching people eat, but a lot of people love watching people eat. I'm talking love, and this phenomenon has been blowing up over the last few years, and we're witnessing people ravage their body, mind, and soul and their longevity for short-term gains in terms of views on social media and like streams. A lot of South Koreans do it, super popular in South Korea. Mukbang, that's their word for it. I think they invented it. I'm not gonna research it. I don't know or care. All right. This is a trend that has been explored on my channel many times before, but hasn't been in quite a while. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't really like talking about it. I don't really like it that much. Freaks me out, honestly. And as I get older, I make more and more specific choices as to the things that I talk about and think about. That's why I stick to good shit like this. Mukbangs were totally 2022. They've kind of fallen off since then, and it's pretty shocking to learn that mukbangs are actually more popular than ever, guys. That's right, it's more popular than ever. I've completely forgotten about it, and we only started researching it for this video. Again, if you search for mukbang on Google Trends as of August 2024, we are at 100%, guys. That is a sharp climb from 55% interest in June. And to frame this, the highest search popularity for mukbangs before this was in July 2018, which was at 98% search interest compared to now. So they're bigger than they've ever been. They're so hot right now. The trend originated in South Korea, but quickly struck a chord with fatties in the West, especially in America, where food culture is abundant and people are prone to overindulgence. I apologize for saying fatties in the West. I thought that would be funny. I'm sorry in advance. I'm not fat phobic. A lot of people think that I'm fat phobic. I'm not. I like it when people are kind to themselves and kind to others. That's what I prioritize. So I can probably get away with that. We'll see though. There are a lot of South Korean mukbang videos of people eating fresh seafood, sometimes way too fresh. In fact, it's still alive. People get canceled for eating this live shit. I don't really care, to be honest. I think that's kind of awesome, eating living things. I think that's like the ultimate way to just be a freak. I like that, dude. That's baller. It's baller. It's harm-free. Just kidding. Just killing shit. Killing animals, eating them alive. What's the difference between eating them alive and eating them dead? Let's be real though. In the United States, it's a bit different. A lot of the mukbang content that you'll see is people eating what Americans do best, and that is fast food. Eating a lot of fast food. A lot of American mukbangs are fast food. This isn't the typical thing that people think of when you think of a diet, but it is still the content diet. People are making millions of dollars to live on with this diet, and it's the only time this has ever happened in history. People are quite literally making a living off of just eating. That's crazy. It's massively fetishized. It's strange. It's very, very strange. It's so strange that there are several engaging studies that have come out and that are coming out about the effects that specifically the mukbang videos have on not only the person eating and filming, but also the person watching or the people watching, sitting in a circle, jacking off. One article from the NIH Library of Medicine explores the spectrum of motivations behind watching these videos. It's extremely interesting. I love this type of stuff. In the article, it discusses commensality, which is the sharing of meals or eating together. This is attributed to being one of the most significant ways of connecting and socializing with other people. That is, breaking bread. Much of this is done with family or with friends or, people at home, going out. It's great. Socializing over food is very important and an extremely human thing to do. Some people don't have those options, however, and these videos are used to emulate this by some people who don't have those people in their lives to share meals with, and this contributes to their loneliness. For example, the idea of pulling up YouTube while eating, it's a meme everybody knows, but it's also a very human trait. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's like you're spending time with that person. Parasocialism, it's weird, man. It's very, very, very strange. The study also cites another article about the functions of social eating, where 15% of people surveyed hadn't shared a meal with another family member in 6 months, which is pretty sad. So these mukbangers are like incels, but with eating with friends and family instead of having sex with women. The article posits that these individuals form parasocial relationships with the creators that they're watching, that they're eating with, and many considering them their meal mates. It helps alleviate feelings of seclusion and or loneliness that people might be facing, specifically when eating, because it's nice to eat with people. It's just like I don't know. It's just nice. I love it. I always try to eat with somebody. But then you see some of the mukbangers who appear fairly lean and they're eating exorbitant amounts of food. It warps perception of what food actually does to the body when you eat like this consistently, and people form unrealistic, unhealthy beliefs about food. They increase their food intake significantly after watching these videos, and that can result in obesity or can trigger eating disorders due to the cognitive dissonance of watching these people. So it's not exactly a healthy thing, but at the same time, it's, you know, not overtly harmful. Nobody's dying from it, probably. There's definitely people dying from it. Like, food kills a lot of people. Overeating kills a lot of people. But, you know, it's one of those things where in moderation, it's totally fine. I love having a meal buddy. I don't like watching mukbangs, though. I find them incredibly disgusting. Some other things in regard to mukbangs being harmful, you could talk about the sexual nature of it, the addictive nature of that, specifically already with the addictive nature of having a meal buddy and forming parasocial relationships. It's entertaining, certainly, but it has the potential to be harmful. Does it manifest in everyone? Absolutely not. That would be insane to say, but like, it's good to be aware of it. Like, if you find yourself always watching mukbangs and your diet starts to change negatively because of it, maybe don't do that, or think about it and, you know, kind of, I don't know, everything's great in moderation. Like, it's not bad inherently, but your brain is like working against you. There's chemicals in your brain that involuntarily compel you to want to do things that are now very dissimilar to what they were when we were hunter-gatherers. So it's like, you got to watch out for that. Your brain's sort of working against you in some ways. Moderation, baby girl and baby boy. So it's not all bad, clearly, but it's something to be aware of and something to think about and contemplate a bit. And if you know someone who might be struggling with something like this, you know, have a conversation, whatever. It's incredibly relevant in the American society where fast food restaurants earned insane $278 billion in 2021, with people spending roughly $148 a month on fast food for themselves. That's insane. Not to mention McDonald's leading the way and prices increased due to inflation. Like, these companies are relatively bad and evil and they're trying to f you over. But moderation, I already talked about this a little bit in the Super Size Me video. It's up. Don't spend money on fast food if you don't have money. Especially don't spend $148 a month on average. It's way cheaper to just buy a bunch of rice and chicken and like spinach. I don't know. Bag of spinach is like $3.98, and that's a lot of spinach. It's like 2 days worth of spinach. This article we just showed for the $148 a month stat also cites research from the Department of Agricultural's Economic Research Service, which found that 56% of all food expenditure was for food away from home, which is mind-boggling. So whatever one might say about mukbang diets, at least they're not trying to manufacture some kind of cutesy little gimmick to make their relationship with food seem quirky and silly. Unlike this next diet that's gotten a bit of traction on social media, where you restrict your diet on each day to foods of specific colors, because that's quirky. It's called the 7-color diet, also known as the rainbow diet by some. This is a weird diet. There's not that many videos on it. The views are low. It's bizarre. The idea behind it is that by diversifying the colors on your plate, you're also getting diverse nutrients and antioxidants. And here is a breakdown of what a week on this diet may look like. Monday's the red food day. You know, kickstart the week with red foods rich in lycopene and anthocyanins, which are believed to support heart health and protect against cancer. Foods include tomatoes, strawberries, cherries, red peppers. Tuesday, orange foods. Fill your plate with orange foods, which are high in beta-carotene and vitamin C. These nutrients are known for boosting immunity and improving your stupid vision. Think carrots, sweet potatoes, mangoes. Wednesday, yellow foods. Yellow foods like banana, pineapple, and yellow peppers are celebrated for their anti-inflammatory properties and digestive benefits. They're packed with vitamins A and C, which help maintain healthy skin and eyes. Then we go to Thursday, green foods. Shit. Just kidding. They're the powerhouse of the diet, brimming with chlorophyll, aka borophyll. Vitamins, minerals, things like spinach, broccoli, avocados, and green apples are just a few examples of different things you can eat that enhance detoxification and provide essential fiber. Friday, we go to blue and purple foods. Foods like blueberries, grapes, eggplants. They offer anthocyanins and resveratrol, which may protect against aging and improve memory. I take some of it in a pill form. I don't really eat. I don't like eggplants. I don't like them very much. And grapes, not a big grape guy. I like the sweet green ones, or the ones that taste like cotton candy. I'm a child. Less colorful foods like cauliflower, onions, and garlic provide flavonoids and antioxidants that support immune function and reduce potential cholesterol levels. Sunday, that's a cheat day or all color mix. Some variations allow for a mix of all colors on Sunday, while others suggest a day off from strict color rules, promoting a balanced approach to eating. Imagine being, you know, chilling on Saturday, your white foods all day. Yeah, man, garlic and onions. I'm gonna eat garlic and onions all day. I wish I could have something with this, but I can't because it's not white. This diet kind of on the simple side makes sense, right? You're eating healthy, you're eating specific things, but at the same time, why wouldn't you just eat all those at once each day? Like, it doesn't, it's sort of pointless and stupid. It's taking things to the extreme. It's traumatizing people, you know, not literally, but like when you overcomplicate something and people try to immerse themselves in it and stick with it, and it's sort of impossible for the average person, and it just doesn't really make any sense if you're not an insane person. It's going to traumatize you, and you're going to be a victim of falling for something. I'm not saying it's like a real victim or real trauma, but it's going to make it more difficult to take any sort of actual diet seriously in the future because of stupid shit like this. Hey guys, maybe on top of eating cauliflower and garlic on Saturday, you could eat some kale or like a fruit or something like that. Incredibly restrictive diets are just, I don't like them. They're bad. They're bad. They're bad. They're really bad. Restricting yourself a lot is just bad for your body. It's bad for your mind and your body and your soul. I don't know. It seems bad. Also, I'm not a doctor, but I can guarantee you if every Saturday you're only eating garlic and onions and cauliflower, you're probably not going to be in a good caloric state. Because those things don't have that many calories. None of the things in this have that many calories. There's not a single mention of any tuber anywhere or any source of complex carbohydrates other than green apples and oranges and pineapple. But like, you know, maybe eat a little bit of steak or venison or chicken or fish even, you know, low mercury. I don't know. Maybe that's just stupid though. Maybe I'm the idiot. I loved a rainbow diet. I've got to say, out of all the diets we've seen, other than the Grahamite diet, this is the best one. The rainbow diet for sure is definitely the best one. But also, it's like, why not just do that on Monday and also have a little bit of like kale or a potato or rice or something else that has more calories in it that you're going to be able to eat and feel refreshed and energized and be happy to be a living human being.
Oh, crap. Oh, fuck. It's Saturday. Oh, I gotta eat white stuff.
Go to Cracker Barrel. Everything's beige. The next diet makes that last diet look like it's awesome. Have you ever heard of the cotton ball diet, guys? It's the dumbest diet that has ever existed. I don't even know what the fuck this is. It is what it sounds like. It's a cotton ball diet. The cotton ball diet was a phenomenon over a decade ago with news reports on people eating it and showing how stupid it was. It was a fad, and it arose in the wake of unrealistic beauty standards being perpetuated online and constant pressure on women to be skinny. So therefore, eat cotton balls. I don't know. The diet gained attention due to its sensational nature, where people would just dip cotton balls in juices and smoothies or whatever fluid gave it flavor, while the cotton ball itself would make you feel full and just suppress your appetite. Theoretically, you'd eat less and you'd feel satisfied because you had a belly full of cotton, but at the same time, you'd have a belly full of cotton. And that's not food. Cotton balls have no nutritional value. You just end up like a stuffed animal. And I'll rip you open, I'll pull that cotton out of you. All right, I'll rip you open and pull that cotton out of you. I'm like an animal. So yeah, this diet, not just dumb, also stupid and dangerous. You can choke, have a blockage in your colon that will require surgery to remove and permanently maim you. It could result in a death.
When you eat a cotton ball, the danger grows as it works its way through your body. First, there's the possibility of choking. If it does reach your stomach, it can cause sharp pains. The cotton ball can also form a blockage in your gastrointestinal tract, leading to surgery or even death.
Many cotton balls also are not even made of cotton. Some are made of bleached polyester, and even the ones that are cotton are processed with other things that are not cotton. Because they're not food products. People don't have to worry about cotton balls that much, generally in terms of food safety, because they're not food. So people have been hospitalized because of this diet, and even if the cotton balls themselves don't send you to the hospital, the resulting malnutrition may, because malnutrition is terrible for you, and it results in all sorts of negative symptoms, from bleeding gums to hair loss to underdeveloped brains, lack of iodine. It's terrible. Now, the worst thing ever could possibly be an unholy union, an unholy abomination of two diets combining. That is the mukbang diet and the cotton ball diet. All right, guys. And I don't know why this is a thing or why this is dumb. Don't do this. Don't eat cotton balls. Don't eat anything that's not food, and try to eat 80% of the time relatively healthy, and the other 20% of the time do whatever you want, you know, because life's really short and it's not going to make that much of a difference, you know, guys. But also don't smoke, and like don't eat meth. So anyways, fellers and fellettes, a word of caution: if you hear about a diet and you think it's going to fix you, it's not going to fix you. That's not a thing that exists. If you eat healthy, you will feel better. If you exercise, you will feel better. If you take care of your brain and you meditate and you seek mental health professionals, you will feel better. If you get blood tests, test your hormones, do all that stuff. Dude, take care of yourself. It's worth it. It really is actually worth it to take care of yourself at least a little bit. 80% of the time. The other 20%, game, eat candy, drink sodas, dude. It's not gonna hurt you. It won't. It actually won't. 20% of something, it's not possible. Look it up. I don't know. That's what I believe, though. I think that it's worth it to have fun. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, press the like button down below. Go to the Gump Club. You get free shipping on Sour Boys. Go buy some candy, sour.gg. We got little guys, plant-based gummies. We got our own in-house made, old style, old world licorice. We release a new flavor every single week, 52 weeks, 52 flavors. We do it in-house. It's so cool. It's so awesome. I'm incredibly grateful. We use better ingredients, but at the end of the day, it's not healthy at all. It is literally just candy. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah, be honest.